This is Creso, and this is part 54 of the Human Journal, Racial Jokes. You know, I remember a long time ago growing up, I used to watch a lot of comedians, stand-up comedians, like Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. And, you know, at the time I understood why the racial jokes was always told about and laughed about and everything, and I understood it, you know. And through the years, every time I see a stand-up comedy, it's always be the same old formula almost, just about. If it's the stereotyping, but racial jokes, all pretty much in it is the same thing. And even at that time, I still accepted it, but I started wondering about these jokes. Chris Rock and all these comedians, and just kind of wonder after a while why it's always the same type of formula jokes, and everybody, you know, I find it funny. You know, I at the time I didn't really see it. I didn't really see the big picture behind it deep down inside about these jokes. It's good to have laugh. What I'm saying, this requires a lot of people to have an open mind, and this definitely requires that. The ego could definitely come up and say, oh, it's all fun and games and stuff like that. And yeah, I know that it is fun and games, but some things in this journal, I just wanted to go further in this pretty much these racial jokes. And I don't think I look around, I don't see a lot of people go further into it, because it's just funny. It's not anything serious, anything about it. It's just against all fun and games, just jokes. Anyway, over the weekend, Dave Chappelle came back in the spotlight. You know, he was in kind of like missing in action and stand-up comedy and all that. I haven't heard about him in a long time, but he came back to Saturday Night Live, and my friend told me about it. And then Chris Rock came about. He joined in over the weekend. So I didn't watch Saturday Night Live. I asked her, say, hey, so how was it? How was Saturday Night Live? And she said, like, not too. She just wasn't all that. It wasn't all that funny. And I said to her, why, what happened? And she went on and told me about, she just got tired of she's just not with the racial jokes anymore. She just got tired of it. And I said to her, you say, you know, you're right. You know, it definitely, you know, come to think of it, these racial jokes that's been basically used so much, it is subliminal. It's definitely subliminal, and you know, you kind of wonder why it just keep going on and on. Then I told her that, I said, you know what, I'm going to watch it. So I watched a few skits from YouTube, Saturday Night Live, and honestly, it's just, I didn't find any of the jokes funny. But yeah, I see where she was coming from. It's the same old stereotype, all bunched together with racial jokes, all that. But like I was saying, it's all subliminal. And so I called her back and I told her, I said, yeah, I saw it. I saw the skits on Saturday Night Live, and I said, you know, these things, you know, whether a lot of people want to see this further, But these things keep people in the same state of mind. In the same state of mind. And really anything enlightening about the whole thing about this color, this person, white, black, Hispanic, all that stuff is really it's very limited, and it's very limited. And I think a lot of us, I remember a while ago I said I think a lot of people need to be colorblind. And they really need to be colorblind. As far as getting over, because I look at it this way: people are colorblind. What happened to the ignorant story that we grew up? What happened to the ignorant story that we grew up? What happened? We're colorblind. All the stories that we grew up about this person, this ethnic group, and that person, that ethnic group, all that just fades away. What happened? What is your own ego going to come up with when it comes to somebody with a different skin color? Because a lot of people are colorblind. And I feel like that, that definitely needs to happen. And as far as the jokes, I look at it, these jokes are funny, I laugh and all that, but where I'm at now, I question it now, and I say to myself, I'm getting tired of the same old damn racial jokes. As I'm doing this journal, I'm like, I wonder if people are tired of it. And, it's a paradigm. It's a well-oiled machine. It will just keep going and going until people decide to figure out who they are, and that life is much more greater than your skin color. I'm going to use a couple of reference of clips that I've made over a year ago, Tales of Your Skin. And my last human journal I did early this year, Infinite Freedom, about Martin Luther King. And I done clips about this topic, about skin color. It's definitely a program. You see, I got to a point that I question these things because I'm not afraid. I like to laugh. I like humor. There's nothing wrong with it. I feel these certain things, we have to question our heart. We have to definitely question our heart about these things. How do you feel about it? I look at certain things that you get sucked in a certain paradigm, then basically you just planted a seed within yourself. And then, then you might call someone an old white cracker or whatever, or the vice versa about someone a different skin color, black person, this and that, stereotyping someone this and that, and then we got classism involved in it, and then we make jokes about it. But it ain't doing anything. There's nothing to do as far as growth. There's no spiritual growth. So a lot of these comedians, they're going to sit there and make jokes about it all day, but there's no growth. A lot of us wondering, hey, when is racism going to stop? It's not just being racist, but it's classism. We got that. People make this kind of money. That's just another topic. But a lot of people need to really wake up and see that. But it takes somebody open-minded. It takes an individual to be ripe. You have to be ripe of just waking up. And now look, a lot of people, they're not ready to wake up. You'll probably hear my journal and probably say, what is this person talking about? Like, what's wrong with Dave Chappelle's jokes? Or Richard Pryor? It's not about anything so much about wrong. It's about certain paradigm where they lead you spiritually. Now look, me, I could stay asleep all I want. I could be so narrow-minded and not see certain things, but that's just a choice that I make. You know, I choose to do that. But because I decide to go past that, and I see the inner workings of these paradigms, and I see the patterns, how it works, I'm like, wow, yeah. Even though certain things sounds funny, but you see, I always go back again about patterns. It's still going. Certain people wonder, like, why this is happening. It's just getting worse and worse and all that, and because you accepted it. It's fun to deal with that. But if it's not fun, and you want to change something, you know, you gotta look at it in this way. You gotta turn yourself into. You gotta look at everybody colorblind. That's the best way I can say it. You gotta look at everybody colorblind, and you know, or you know, I could see that we could stay with that, not look at it as something that's going to keep you in the same state, you know, or you could basically evolve and everybody look at everybody, we all came as one. But you know, everything we do in our life, the best advice I give even to myself and to everybody is that you have to question your heart. You have to question your heart and just go how you feel. Because if you're feeling something low, and let's just say you find something funny, but then there's some truth into it. You might make fun of somebody in a brown skin complexion that's basically doing certain things, maybe stereotype or racially profile somebody. You might find that funny, but you might find that funny, but you just going to, you know, there's some hidden truth into it, and then you feel a certain way. You might look at somebody, for example, somebody's a bigwig, right? At whatever, it's an example. He's white, whatever, and then we got stories about that. Kind of reference again, tales of our skin. The stories we put on our skin color. So you might see someone that's Caucasian, and you have certain, whatever, jokes about it, but then behind the joke, there's something else going on. So again, it's all fun and games, but there's something behind it. You have other feelings at work, and it keeps people, I realize it keeps people in a particular state of mind. You remember I always make reference point about the mind too, and how the mind operates. You know? But for anybody to understand what I'm saying, you have to be at a point of waking up. You have to be at a point of waking up. Otherwise, you're just going to hear what I'm saying. You're going to say to yourself, this person doesn't make no sense. You know, I like to laugh. I like to get some few laughs and da-da-da. Hey, and that's fine. Get a few laughs. I like to laugh too. I like making jokes and all that. One thing I got to point out again. What's behind the inner workings? Some people might look at it like, oh, I don't care. But you do care. You do care. On the other hand, you do complain about certain things. You complain about you're not getting certain equal rights at your job, for example, because of your skin color. Or you might feel a certain way, all based on your skin color. And then you feel like a victim. The irony of this is that we look at, again, you know, the irony of this is that we lean towards comedians to make our lives feel better, but yet we're miserable. Strange. Very interesting. These paradigms. It really is. So I just gotta say that I'm glad I saw a couple of skits in Saturday Night Live. The jokes weren't funny, and just the whole thing, just the stereotype. It's just, you know, it just wasn't my highest joy. It's just not. It wasn't for me. And another time I probably accepted it. You know, we choose to do what we want. You know, we could be asleep and we could not be asleep. We could do whatever we feel like. And it all goes back to how you feel. It all goes back to what world you're at. What world you prefer. Do you want a world that's colorblind? Or you want a world that's just divided with skin color and making jokes and basically feeling miserable all inside? So I think that's it for this journal. Until then, I will be back for part 55.